Live from the KYMA studios, covering Yuma and the Imperial Valley, this is Sunrise on KYMA News 11.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us here on Sunrise. I'm Cheryl Scott.
And I'm Joey Norton. We appreciate it very much. It's Friday. It's the 1st of May. I can't believe it's already May.
Me neither.
But it makes me happy because I have about 20 and a half days of school left.
Well, it makes me a little bit bittersweet because in those 20-something days, I have a senior graduating this year, so sending him off to ASU in the fall. So it's a little bit bittersweet for me.
Separation anxiety?
Yes, a little bit. So, yeah. And I will address something you said earlier. We were talking about the heat and laying out by the pool, which I love to do in my free time. But I did have a scare a couple weeks ago. I had a 5-foot long rattlesnake that was sitting about 1.5 feet from me in my backyard. So I have a little bit of anxiety about going in.
Yeah. Well, you live right up on the foothills mountains, so I mean that will happen. So were you laying there and all of a sudden you turned over and it's like, oh,
I thought the sprinklers came on. I thought the sprinklers came on. I heard the rattle like that, and I turned around and there he was. So Rural Metro came out and removed him from our backyard, stating that that was one of the biggest ones thid seen this year.
I would freak out.
So
those things are scary. I mean, I'm not afraid of snakes, really. I mean, I've had shows where I did my weather with a snake kind of wrapped around me. But as far as rattlesnakes and cottonmouths and water moccasins, you don't want to mess with those.
The sidewinders is what they were. And I'm not a snake expert at all, so this is what they were telling me. But the sidewinders are the ones that will actually chase you. Ooh. So I didn't have that, but the dog was outside, and luckily I was more, I got.
Want to look over and make sure.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm glad you didn't get bitten.
No.
That's the last thing we needed.
Yes. No.
Yeah. So, be careful out there. It is snake season. We know that. So, with the temperatures warming up, they like to come out, especially in the early morning hours when that sun starts to come up, and they can come out underneath that rock there. Our Skycam brought to you by Yuma Rehabilitation Hospital. Beautiful start for us skywise. A few clouds outside early this morning. As far as our local radar, temperatures and radar looking pretty good. A few clouds joining us today, mainly over to central portions of California, are seeing the majority of those clouds. Around 8 miles per hour coming from the west into Imperial, from the southeast for El Centro, from the north from Blythe, and from the south for Yuma area. So we I've seen winds from all over the place, so it doesn't know which way it wants to blow, but it will change over to the southwest later on this afternoon. Look at our temperatures this morning into the 70s into Yuma. Same for El Centro, 60s for Blythe and Welton and Imperial. As far as our bus stop forecast, it's a good start, but still fairly warm this morning. Doesn't feel too bad, but we'll see temperatures into the lower 70s across the majority of the viewing area. As far as our headlines, it's another hot day today, and we'll see a few clouds roll in throughout this weekend, and mild temperatures will be in our forecast. And I'll have that full forecast for you in just a little bit.
This morning, Baltimore prosecutors now have the police department's report on how Freddie Gray suffered what turned out to be fatal injuries while in custody.
Tracy Potts is in Washington this morning with more on that, plus an exclusive interview with the man who was in that police van with Gray.
All I heard was like a little banging for about 4 seconds.
Despite a Washington Post report citing a sealed document, Dante Allen says he never told police he heard Freddie Gray trying to hurt himself.
When I got to the police station, I heard them saying, well, y'all, we gave him a run for his money, basically saying they did something to him, man.
The police investigation on Gray's arrest was turned over to Baltimore's prosecutor a day early. Police revealed the van transporting him made one more stop than originally reported.
No justice, no peace.
Protests dissolved after the city's 10 p.m. curfew. More are planned.
We have heard throughout the day that there are people that are concerned about tonight and then going into the weekend.
There were also demonstrations in Cincinnati and Philadelphia where protesters clashed with police. Back in Baltimore, federal agents are investigating 3 fires set during Monday's violence. And here's that flyer. The ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, is offering a $10,000 reward for what they believe is arson. Those fires they think were deliberately set. In Washington, Tracy Potts, NBC News.
Of course they were deliberately set. What are you thinking? Anyways, the Department of Justice plans to launch a pilot program aimed at expanding the use of body cameras worn by police officers across the country. The cameras are aimed to help local and tribal law enforcement enforcement to improve relationships with the public. Federal officials plan to spend nearly $20 million to fund a dozen departments, a third of them being small law enforcement agencies. Another $1 million will be used to study the actual impact of the cameras. Video footage has played a key role in several cases that have dominated headlines, such as the Freddie Gray recording, which has set off days of protest.
A woman being chased by police drove around in a Los Angeles park yesterday, tearing up grass and hitting signposts. The driver of the silver Nissan Altima was seen going through red lights and into parking lots while over 20 police cars were in pursuit. Apparently, where she was going, she didn't need roads. The car was observed speeding past a group of school children, scarily enough, and narrowly avoiding head-on collisions until she finally lost control and came to a stop when the vehicle was disabled. She was quickly put into handcuffs and taken into custody. It was reportedly the area's third major police pursuit of the day, Joey.
Well, yeah, well, it's Los Angeles for you. A Miami man is behind bars accused of being an ISIS sympathizer. Authorities say the 46-year-old tried to buy a gun from the FBI informant to carry out a lone wolf attack. Reporter Dan Croft reports.
This is the so-called ISIS sympathizer Miguel Moran Diaz in a video obtained exclusively by NBC6. FBI agents say he also went by Azizi al-Harari on social media.
Hello?
He lives behind the door of this Miami apartment with his girlfriend, where neighbors are on edge.
Makes me scared because he lived on the same floor as me, and now knowing that he was an ISIS, so pretty scary.
Court documents show Diaz tried to buy a gun from an FBI informant, telling him, quote, he's a lone wolf for the terrorist organization ISIS, that he wanted to scratch the word ISIS into his shell casings so they would know there was a sniper in town.
I would like to know what he was planning or thinking about.
Records show Diaz also told the informant he owned a collapsible rifle that he could fold up and take inside a stadium undetected. Neighbors watched as the FBI made the orchestrated arrest outside his apartment this month.
So two other trucks or two vans hit him on the sides, and they stopped his truck, and then they came out with, I think, bulletproof vests and M16s and stuff like that.
Inside his home, agents found a rifle and close to 300 rounds of ammunition. The Cuban national remains behind bars until his trial begins in June.
I was surprised because he didn't look like the type to do all that stuff and be in that type of group.
And sadly, the search for the body of a hiker who fell over the edge of the Grand Canyon will resume this morning. About 4:30 yesterday afternoon, park officials got a report of a man falling from the edge of the rim trail east of Mather Point. Park rangers, a technical search and rescue team, and a park helicopter were sent to look for him. The helicopter was able to spot him about 400 feet below the rim, and recovery operations were then suspended for the day because of the terrain, the time of the day, and safety concerns. The National Park Service is now investigating the accident.
Terrible, 400 feet. It has not been a good week for Ford owners and of the 2014 Ford Fusion. Ford Motor Company issued 3 recalls for the car this week. One involves a latch that can cause a door to open without warning. The second concern is an issue that could cause the fuel pump to seize and the car to stall while being driven. The final recall involves a steering gear motor problem that could result in loss of power steering. Sounds like I want a Ford Fusion.
Well, after you graduate from college, the hardest part is then finding a job. Now a startup is offering some help. Campus Job announced this week that it's expanding after getting $7.8 million in new funding. This means the website will now be posting jobs for college seniors, not just internships or part-time positions. The site helps narrow down a student job search, and it's free to join. All you need is an EDU email address, and the site says over 10,000 new students are signing up each week.
Cool. Well, just like Christmas decoration, Hollywood's summer movie season arrives earlier every year. This year, the Avengers Age of Ultron kicks off the summer. That's today, May 1st, and it just might be a record breaker, of course. And there are other blockbusters waiting to take their stroll down the movie's industry's version of Santa Claus Lane.
Here's Raphael Seth with the summer box office preview for you.
The Avengers sequel promises to be this year's first summer blockbuster, but it won't be the only one.
This may very well be our last mission.
Look for new chapters and reboots of Mission Impossible, The Terminator, and Mad Max, with last year's breakout hero Chris Pratt trying to tame the beasts of Jurassic World in June.
If we win the World Championships, will you reinstate us?
If it's comedy you crave, look for the ladies to deliver laughs. Pitch Perfect is back for an encore, followed by Melissa McCarthy in Spy and Amy Schumer in Trainwreck.
I now pronounce you teddy bear and wife.
Boys get the giggles too with the second serving of Ted and the true crime comedy Masterminds. Poltergeist reawakens 30 years after the original, and evil sequels Sinister 2 and Insidious 3 haunt theaters in late summer.
I've never...
But you can bring the kids along to Tomorrowland later this month. They can also get in touch with their feelings in Inside Out or make a play date with the Minions in July. This year's natural disaster flick is San Andreas, starring Dwayne Johnson. The Future Franchise Award goes to Marvel Comics Ant-Man.
I don't want to go to jail. I want to go to college.
And the summer sleeper that defies category is the coming-of-age film Dope. And that's the summer box office preview. Raphael Seth, NBC News.
I mean, you
Well, one movie you won't see this summer is the Hugh Jackman Peter Pan prequel, Pan. That studio moved the July release back to the fall. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the movies with Landon and my wife the other day, and we watched, what was it? Home?
It was that good, huh?
Home, I think. It was the little alien movie or whatever where they, anyways, where it was the little thing, with Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory as the voiceover. Anyways, they showed that preview for Pan, and I grew up watching Hook. That's the one that I grew up with Rufio, like the cool guy. But that director Alex says yes. That looked awesome. That movie did look pretty good, and I think that it would be cool because a lot of kids these days didn't grow up to like the classics that we grew up with. And things now, that when they redo these classics, things have changed, and they change them so much it's not even what we remember.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely do. We're dating ourselves now, though, you know.
I know. I know. Moving on, as Marvel fans across the country prepare to watch the new Avengers movie, Austin Police put a special preview for local kids at the Dell Children's Medical Center.
The department's SWAT officers spent Thursday scaling down buildings and chasing after the Joker for children. Natalie He reports.
On a search to find the Joker.
The Joker must be apprehended.
Austin police summoned their special unit of superheroes to catch the man they say stole from the children. It didn't take long.
He surrendered to us as soon as he realized he was outnumbered.
Most days, they're saving the world in their SWAT gear. But today, APD's all-star team of superheroes is wearing a different uniform.
First time you go down the rope and you see one of those kids' faces light up, you can tell immediately they forget about the reasons why they're here.
Some of these kids are going through some really hard times, and we feel that something like this can lighten their day.
And after a long day of fighting crime, the superheroes came to say hi to their biggest fans.
Hi, Bridget.
Some kids painted their faces, and others dressed up to meet their favorites. But some just wanted to take a long look at them.
The real boys hug. You've hot?
Yeah.
Oh, looks like a lot of fun.
That does look like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should paint our faces sometime on the air.
I don't want to scare people more than I already do, so let's sleep it as it is. Right. We'll be right back, but first here's a look at what's coming up on Today.
Stay tuned.
Good morning. Coming up on a Friday here on Today, the difficult decision facing the woman who will decide if criminal charges are filed in the death of Freddie Gray. Plus, the new move being taken by police in Baltimore to prepare for what could be the largest protest yet. Also ahead on Rawson reports, would your home withstand the destructive power of a tornado? Could you survive? We're taking you inside a place where twisters are being created on purpose. And Jennifer Lopez gets emotional in an exclusive interview with Natalie. What she had to say about the other superstar who changed her life. All that and much more ahead as we get started on a Friday morning here on Today.